Hello, Mr. P here with Mr. Dave and Mr. Jethro. Hello. We are the Geeky guys. Welcome to ShowPod. And today we're going to be talking about Star Trek Picard, Series 3, and obviously a quick look back over the other two series. It was really good.
Oh, yes, it was, wasn't it? We never thought we'd get Sir Patrick Stewart back on the TV in a Star Trek series, but it happened.
And now he's thinking of coming back to do some more. If you've read his memoir, which he's just released.
Yes, make it so.
Make it so. Excellent read, worth getting.
At one point, it was like, no more. I'm done. Like, just wrap the subtitle in it and move on. But
drawn the line, no further. That's it.
But then it's just like, well, I'll do a bit more. Actually, yeah, we do a bit more. Just one more, just one more.
That's the final one. That's my final word on it.
There's a funny interview with Margot Kidder when they talked about doing Superman 4, and Chris Reeve had said he'd never do it with Superman again, and then he's like, well, I decided that I wanted to do a story that I could. Margot Kidder just went, well, it's money, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's done it for the money. Oh, Margot, lovely.
Well, he's not just doing it for the money, Patrick Stewart, is he? But
no.
Obviously, it's something that he loves. He's obviously as well an executive producer, so he gets like a say in what happens at the very least.
We were saying this the other day, wasn't we? I mean, they've done it quite a bit in Star Trek, but they've done it on quite a lot of other shows now where a lead character or somebody who's a member of the core cast will end up popping up as an executive producer, and sometimes director as well, which obviously has been a lot of in Star Trek.
It's an equal Martin Green of Discovery as of season 4.
Yeah.
But and Patrick had turned down quite a few scripts in the past, hadn't he, to come back before now. So, that just kind of shows you was waiting for the right moment, the right script, the right story that he was interested in telling to come back.
Well, this one they went to his house, and I think they spent a good hour or two talking to him about how they saw, because they'd already planned 3 series. So they talked about how those 3 series were going to look. And apparently he was quite interested in that story.
Yeah, because I think it suited him because he wasn't on a starship. He wasn't going to have to put the space uniform on again that he was very vocal about before the series came out. There was no way he was doing that.
I believe Marina Sirtis said the same thing. Yeah. The only reason for coming back was have no spacesuits.
Yeah, no spacesuit. And he, like I said about telling the story, he was away from Starfleet, away from his old crew. So it was about the new sort of cast around him, the new characters around him, and his home life, really, wasn't it? How he was dealing with being away from Starfleet and what he loved.
Or not dealing with it.
Or not dealing with it.
Maybe in this series. So let's just talk a little bit more about Series 3 specifically then. So let's just address the elephant in the room straight away. The Enterprise D. It's been off air a little while now, and we still get posts online from such as Dave Blass talking about the set, and it was such a big moment, and a lot of work and effort went into putting that together.
Yeah.
And I mean, they nailed it. They nailed that set. They rebuilt that from scratch.
Yeah.
There was only one original item on the entire thing, which was the dedication plaque.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that was not the original one from the beginning, because there was a post I saw online where someone had said, no, it's not, it looks different. It was from Series 7. So it was from Series 7 of the Next Generation. Right. That dedication plaque is the one that they've moved forward.
So they also use it for Generations, do you know?
I would assume so, because it's the same set. They came back.
Possibly.
They filmed 2 weeks later after wrapping Series 7 when they did Generations. So I'm assuming they just left the set, so it's the same one. So they just redressed it slightly with the...
Going into canon things, that we see the set of the Enterprise D bridge in Picard.
Yes.
It looks how it looked like in the Next Generation, as opposed to Generations. They didn't bother with the side consoles.
And the way it was lit was all bright and quite airy. In Generations, they dumbed it down a little bit in terms of light.
To make it more like film as opposed to like TV, which TV has to be more even. Like film, you can have a bit more depth, a bit more.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think I remember seeing a comment from some of the cast from the old show that came back in season 3, and they said how weird it was to be on that set, but with the lighting to be very different to what they were used to, a lot darker than what they were used to back in the day. So that was quite interesting to hear that, how they kind of was a bit jarring at first. And we had that thought of, will they bring back one of the old ships? Will they bring back the D or the E or something else? And we didn't think they would do it initially because we thought it's going to cost a lot of money for a quick sort of here
We
we
were
go.
thinking E, weren't we, at the back of our minds?
Yeah.
But we never thought they'd do D because, and let's just explain this. So in Generations, the D gets destroyed, but when I say destroyed, the saucer section separates and crash lands on Viridia 3.
Yeah.
The drive section is destroyed, but the saucer section's saved, essentially, due to the Prime Directive. You can't just leave all that tech on a planet. They had to take it somewhere. So Geordie takes it away, finds the drive section from another ship that's
Syracuse.
the Syracuse, thank you, that's been retired, puts them together and starts building this ship back up again and putting it all back together from the crash, which I would imagine he only has to do the saucer section. So he's been working on this for years, getting it all back up again. Which, just one other thing, I was going to mention this later, but I'm putting it in now. Not only do we get the Enterprise, but Majel Barrett as the computer voice recording back from the past. Lovely to see her archive footage of her voice in the Enterprise computer again.
Yeah, we like that. That was a nice touch to have that on there, wasn't it?
Series 3 is very much like The Next Generation, and in fact, Episode 1 was called The Next Generation.
Yeah.
The Episode 10 is The Last Generation. Why not? Let's stay on trend. And by the time they'd got to Series 3, they'd pretty much wrapped up the storylines from Series 1 and 2.
Yeah,
They'd pretty much tied that all up into a bow and it was all right.
Yeah.
And I imagine that part of the plan for that was, let's get people interested, then Series 3, let's really treat them. Let's get everybody back. And when I say everybody, aside from Will Wheaton, who guest starred in Series 2, everybody else is back. You've got Worf, you've got Crusher, Troy, Data, LaForge.
What are they going to do that with Data? Because they had the announcement that Brent Spiner was going to be in it, not just as another suit, but as Data. It was like, yeah. But no, how they did it, that was, yeah.
They went to Brent Spiner with the idea, and he said they were not sure whether he'd go for it, and apparently he thought it was really good, and he even helped them during the process with ideas and suggestions that made it in, because he knows the character inside out. And having the idea that Lore and Data had both been downloaded into this new style android body that was more aged and well, let's face it, you can't keep putting Brent Spiner in that kind of makeup and making him look young. Right at the beginning of Picard in Episode 1, we saw him and it just didn't really work, did it? It was a lovely touch. Just let's just say it didn't quite work.
It was for a brief scene. You can forgive it.
You can, absolutely. I'm not saying it was terrible or wrong. I'm just saying it didn't really work. But for us, fantastic. I mean, at the time, we did a reaction video, which was amazing to have Data back, which it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, having Brent being able to play him as he is now, rather than putting all that makeup on.
And being able to play a slightly different version of the character, because he's slightly more human. He's got that lore element in there as well.
All those emotions, and handling them quite well. Yeah. I get the impression from an interview, something we saw doing research for this, that he brought a lot of the humour and comedy into the part, which is quite good. Yeah,
and to renew that whole Data-Geordie relationship again and kind of rediscover that friendship, that was really good.
Let's have some positivity. We're going to die. So we also had Beverly Crusher back.
Yeah.
Now, we'd not really heard a lot from her. Nothing through Series 1 and 2. There was no mention of her in any, not really in anything since. She sort of disappeared. And you find out why, which is that she's had a son. And it's Picard's son as well.
Yeah.
Well, not to put too fine a point on it, he's got some issues.
Yeah.
And those issues are directly linked to Picard and, in fact, to the Borg.
Yeah.
So we've got the Borg back and the Changelings, as you pointed out earlier when we were doing a pre-video.
Can't forget the Changelings.
Which completely skipped my mind when we were just starting the meeting. I completely forgot for a second the Changelings were in it, which is silly.
But the reveal in, was it Episode 3? Did either of you see that coming?
Not really. Well, no. I thought it was just another alien. A different alien.
Yeah, we're trying to work it out. And
yeah.
I think we kind of thought it was too obvious to be Borg. Working with him, because we'd had the Borg a little bit in season 1 and 2 of Picard, and it was like, we can think it might be a bit obvious to do the Borg again. So it kind of worked what they did, to be honest, because it threw us as fans, and we were thinking, is it something to do with the Dominion? Is it something to do with changelings that's new, or that's back from the past we wasn't aware of? And it was quite good the way that they threw it out.
The whole Jack going for counselling with Troy and going to that door and looking through that door, which was, I suppose, a euphemism for a barrier in his mind that he'd put up. What's behind the door? Then they cliffhangered it till the next episode.
Yeah, they're doing that a lot.
Sorry?
They were doing that a lot for
the
whole series.
When it got to that point, I think we all knew it was the Borg behind the door. I think that was fairly obvious it was the Borg. But we never really knew. It was the way the colouring changed on screen,
and also all the vines connected and things. You thought hive mind,
But still with plausible deniability, so it could not be. It could be something else.
Could have been something new.
Keeps you guessing. Yeah.
Alice Krige, of course, reprising her role as the voice of the Borg Queen in this, which was quite nice. Because you hear that voice, and that is the voice of the Borg Queen. Yeah. Admittedly, we've had the Borg Queen in Star Trek. Played by other people, Susanna Thompson in Voyager, for example,
and Annie Wersching in
the first series of Picard.
Second
series of Picard.
Second series of Picard.
Who sadly passed away, didn't she? Not long after filming, which was not good.
No, but you always think that it is in fact Alice Krige, even though she didn't play the actual body. It was Jane Edwina Seymour who played the body of the Borg Queen in series 3, and we did think earlier, because we were trying to work out whether it was an actor or whether they'd used robotics and things, but it was actually
a mixture of both.
Yeah, a mixture of both.
Picard season 3 was almost like the sequel to First Contact.
Yeah,
that we never had, really. Continued that story quite well. It back referenced it a few times. But, the dynamics between the crew, between the friends was slightly different. They'd all gone off in different areas, working on different things, haven't really seen each other properly for years. And then, like you said, the whole bombshell of, Jack Crusher being Picard's son. And all the Irumodic syndrome. So Picard had the guilt of that as he passed this disease on to his son, and is he going to, not have a full life or pass away earlier than he should do? So there's all these emotions and all these things going off, wasn't there, during the season?
And also, in all the stuff that happened previous, the TNG crew were always the main guys, They would do their thing and no one would really interfere or get in the way or question what they're doing so much.
Yeah.
Because generally on screen they questioned each other, that's what they did. So you come into this series where they need help, so of course they go off and find Seven, who's first officer on board the Titan. And we've got, of course, Captain Liam Shaw, who straight away says, no, don't be silly, we're not going to help you, that's breaking the rules. We're going to run off on some silly mission and all get into trouble or worse just because you say so.
We've read the files, we've seen the sorts of things you guys get into.
You're not heroes, you're absolute renegades. You just throw caution to the wind and by sheer dumb luck you seem to succeed. We're not going to get involved in that.
You're not putting my ship and crew in danger and all that sort of
But you can sort of like...
Oh, absolutely.
He's not being unreasonable. No.
You'd never really thought about that until he said it. Actually, you sat there thinking, oh, you need to help him, but at the back of your mind you're thinking, you got a point.
Because a lot of the time that there's sort of like with Lower Decks, like the main characters are almost audience surrogates when it comes to hero worships of the older legacy characters. That they're like, oh yeah, I remember you when you did this mission and that mission and all that. But as to flip it on its head, like what about someone who doesn't look at these people with complete admiration? And we know later on for good reason that Shaw doesn't look at Picard with admiration.
No.
And it makes complete sense.
Yeah. He does eventually come around to helping them, although potentially pushed him to that corner really.
Yeah. He's not built up the admiration and respect that the audience has for the characters. That's the thing, isn't it? 'Cause all he's seen is the reports. He's seen kind of things that have happened as a consequence of what they've done outside of their wheelhouse within their crew. So he has a completely different view on Picard and Riker, and how to deal with these people, and how, like you say, how he thinks that they're renegades, and they do dangerous situations that are very risky.
Reckless, I think. So.
Yeah, flying the coattail.
It's now time, though, just to quickly talk about our first feature real quick.
Yes.
And the way we're going to start doing this feature going forward is a little bit different to the way we've done it previously. So this is called Geeky Guys Favourites, and this is where we all say what our favourite of a particular thing is.
Ooh.
However, rather than come up with it right now, we're going to pose the question, and then we're going to have a bit of time to think about it during the rest of this episode. Stick around to the end, and we'll be giving you what our favourites are just before we finish. So, today's Geeky Guys favourite question to all three of us is, what is your favourite guest star moment on a TV show or film where someone pops up that you're like, it's them, what are they doing there?
Oh.
It's a what are they doing there moment. So what's your favourite that you can think of that's like a guest star moment that you thought, oh, that's brilliant, I'm so glad they did that. So that's what we're going to think about. And while we're talking about that, and you can't use this as an example, but at the end of Picard Series 3, we get the wonderful Walter Koenig's voice as Anton Chekhov, relative, of course,
Grandson of
Pavel Chekhov. Now, apparently they just recorded that at his house. They just went and got a recorder and just went, right, just record it, and he recorded it and it went out. But
Why not?
Fantastic. I love the fact that they actually brought him in. This series had quite a lot of these things, sort of people pop up. We had Q in Series 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we need to talk a little bit about as well.
Which we'll come back to when we talk about the end of Season 3. Spoilers! But also Tim Russ
Yeah.
as Tuvok.
Didn't see that coming.
And he was a changeling. Of course, Jerry Ryan's 7 of 9 managed to figure that out because she obviously knows Tuvok.
Yeah,
so she managed to say something to try and not trick him, but give away the fact that it wasn't actually Tuvok. I honestly thought we would see Janeway.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
Spoke about it a couple of times.
All the way through, and I thought at the end she'd be one of those people on the new, like a new Enterprise coming out, which was going to be the new ship going forwards.
They were going to get her, but they couldn't.
No.
So they just used Tim Russ.
Tim Russ, which is a shame. So, yeah.
Although, these captains should be wanting their own series now anyway. More likely.
Well, there's...
we'd watch it.
Who else? Elizabeth Shelby.
Yes.
Captain of the Enterprise F.
Yeah. So we had the Enterprise E Sovereign. We had quite a few Enterprises in this show.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got the Enterprise D. Nobody likes the fat one. Well, actually, we do. We love the Enterprise D. Don't diss the D. That should be a T-shirt. Don't diss the D. Don't diss the D. The Enterprise E. Now we find out that the Enterprise E, they couldn't have the Enterprise E because it's been destroyed. Oh. And they all look at Worf and he says, it wasn't my fault. We want to know what happened to the Enterprise E. What happened?
We don't know. It's ruined, but we don't know.
It's ruined. So after the E, of course, they made the F.
Yeah.
That ran for quite some time. And then the F retired. And it was during Federation Day, Starfleet Day. What was it called?
Frontier Day.
Frontier Day, thank you.
Yeah. Which was on the 2401, which would be 250 years after the launch of the NX-01.
There we go.
Which we also saw in the series.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
how many other Enterprises did we see?
Oh, crikey me.
The A?
Yeah. Yes, that was in the Fleet Museum.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we've got to talk about that.
The Fleet Museum. Just before we do that, so the Enterprise F got retired during the celebrations, and that's why we thought maybe it would, would get a new one. But what they've done instead is they've renamed the Titan Enterprise. We would assume that Seven is now in command. Is she?
She is.
She's
been made captain.
Yes. She got made captain.
Yeah.
So Captain Seven in command of the Enterprise. That's a lovely end to the series in terms of the ship.
Really love that, because you have like essentially a former enemy being Borg, now in command of your flagship, which with Worf being in command of the Enterprise E, you also have a former enemy, a Klingon, in command of your flagship. Like for the Federation, that is one heck of a political statement, isn't it?
What do you think the statement is? What are you trying to say?
It's like, yeah, we got all right, don't we?
Let's put our differences aside and move forward together.
Yeah, that is another way of putting it, yeah.
What a nice way to think of it. Can you imagine if everybody on this planet got together and we all worked together and was nice to each other?
Oh, you talk about fancy land now.
I know.
Yes.
I know.
We've got the Bell riots and the reunification of Ireland to go next year, haven't we? So
Yeah. Well, we've got our own problems at the moment mirroring those things, but we're not going to get political. So,
Not in this episode.
not in this episode. And now a word about our sponsor. Are you looking to take your business or idea online? Then Namespace has you covered. From personal websites, e-commerce and fully managed IT services, see what Namespace can do for you today at namespace.rocks. The Fleet Museum then. So it looks like the old space dock essentially has been moved and made into a museum, and it's got all the old ships where they keep them all. Now the Fleet Museum's been referenced already in Star Trek. So there was a TNG episode called Relics where Jimmy Doohan reprises his role as Scotty and comes back and he recreates the Enterprise, the original Enterprise S1701 on holiday. And Picard mentions that he's seen the original in the Fleet Museum.
yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
They recreated that bridge of the Enterprise, the original one, and it went on tour just from Relics. And that's the one I'm sat on in those old pictures when I'm talking.
How big was it?
Pretty much full size.
Oh. Did they do the full, or was it just like a partial?
No, it was pretty good. It was almost all the way around, and then it had the centre console at the front.
Okay.
So it was like all the view screen, of course, was and the front bits around the view screen was cut away. It was all that bit that you saw. It's quite good.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was made for TV.
Mm.
It wasn't just made for like a convention. It was, it was the proper one they used to film on, and they took it on a tour. I've got no idea what happened to it after that tour.
And I'll tell you what was nice as well, staying on the Fleet Museum for a minute, when Seven is sat with Jack in Astrometrics and she's showing him Voyager and talking about like how she went there and felt out of place and had to learn to socialise and had to get to grips with the job and the role and how the crew became her family and she'd do anything for them, they'd do anything for her. And it was just kind of a nice kind of, the positive sides of Starfleet and, the relationships you build and you protect each other. And
Yeah.
I thought that was really good, a nice nod back to Voyager.
Yeah, summarised, it's not just your crew, it's your family.
Yeah.
And the little cues they play, like with the Enterprise A, you had like little, Alexander Courage's original cue playing. With the Defiant, we had, Dennis McCarthy's theme for Deep Space Nine. For Voyager, you hear Jerry Goldsmith's for Voyager.
Yeah.
And for the Voyage Home, I've lost it, but you hear that cue.
That's pretty good, Jethro, off the top of your head. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty good off the top of your head.
Oh, thank you.
We've been training him up to get his memory palace up and running. Yeah, that's brilliant, and I love it when they do that. And they've not just done it in this franchise; they've done it in other ones as well.
Oh yeah.
Let's just go back a little bit because I just want to talk very briefly about series 1 and 2. We've skimmed over them, but this is it's what got the viewers in anyway.
Yeah.
So in series 1, we find that lots of stuff happened. Like Picard was getting older and obviously not very well. He ended up with an android body. So we go into series 2. He's got an android body that still ages. Go with us on this. Q popped up in series 2, transports them back to the past. So we've got now present day, as in now,
Well,
Well, it was
2024.
uh,
Something to look forward to.
yeah, next year. See if you can find Picard in a city near you. Running around on Earth, that was fun. But in all this, it was the underlying thing here was androids.
The ban on
Series 1.
synthetics.
It was all androids and synthetics in Series 1. Series 2 was pretty much like a survival film because there's 10 episodes per series.
Yeah.
So it's like a 10-hour film, essentially, Series 2, of, right, we've got this problem, we need to solve it, but it's going to take us 10 hours to solve it in the past and then sort of get back to the future and back to the great Scott and solve this problem that we've got to solve, and we've got to get back there and sort it out, which they pretty much did. Then it was all wrapped up and you got Series 3. Series 3 wasn't more like one big film, was it? It was almost little chunks of things put together, but it worked. I'm not saying it's disjointed. Now then, let's just talk Christopher Plummer just for a second. So Christopher Plummer...
Oh, yeah.
You wonder where I was going there, didn't you? Christopher Plummer, a fantastic villain in his film. Star Trek, what's the number? 6, which was the undiscovered country. Cry Havoc, and Let's Slip the Dogs of War. So I believe the actor...
Takba.
Well, bless you.
You too.
And it was his daughter playing the villain in Series 3, which she played
Amanda
it so
Plummer.
well. Amanda Plummer. And you actually did get... You can see the similarities a little bit there. Even in performance almost. That sort of almost calm and yet chaotic at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of smiling, which, you know, the smile was not a smile. It was a threat. And that comes through.
But they're also different in other aspects. Like obviously, Chang was Chang, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. He's obviously goes by the code of honor. That he's very much more like I guess you can say more conservative Klingon. That's is also very skeptical of outside influence and the Federation as a whole.
Yeah.
He's like again, it's not a two-dimensional character by any means.
No.
But that sort of smile is a mask for that. But for Vadik, like that was more of a it was like a coping mechanism because what she went through was wasn't very nice. Like being experimented on during the Dominion War by Section 31. Now we know Section 31 through Deep Space Nine and through other iterations of Trek since. And yep, we're going to get Star Trek Section 31 with Michelle Yeoh sometime when?
They keep changing their goalposts a little bit there, but it is coming.
It
It's
will
been
come out.
confirmed. She's
Yeah.
doing it. It's going to happen. I mean,
Righteous Drax and all that.
currently they've still got some issues industry-wise in the US at the moment.
But just going back, that you got this almost backstory that you can get why she's mad, and again with a good villain, you need to have that moment where you're like, actually, yeah, I get where you're coming from on that, because the last thing you want from a villain is just being like maniacally like sitting back with like hand on your lap and like, oh.
Yeah, twisting your moustache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the blowpoke does work, but that's more the icon than anything else, really.
As a villain as well, she came across as the sort of villain that would just do anything.
Yeah.
And we talked about this with the Master in Doctor Who a little bit, because we said even all the other Masters were slightly sympathetic towards the Doctor. They're always like, we don't think they'd really do it. They'd never really expected to get away with it. Yet the new Master, you just imagine he just picked the nearest gun up and shoot her straight away.
Yeah.
It's just completely evil. Yeah, and with her, you do think that if she says, right, I'm going to blow the ship up, she's just going to blow the ship up.
Yeah.
There was no, I'm going to blow the ship up by pressing that button over there and give people time to stop her.
And, you know, she had kind of the gun held at her family's head as well, didn't she? You know, they were going to basically destroy the changelings or do something equally horrible to them. That was forcing her hand to go after Picard and Jack. And
it does look like, at one point, or a couple of points during this series, they're going to lose.
Yeah.
They're you know, insurmountable.
Picard's going to die.
Yes, we've got him. He's done an Alan Partridge impersonation. First one. Jurassic Park. The regular viewers will know that we love Alan Partridge and we always try and get some kind of impersonation or quote in there somewhere. I mean, it's now rubbing off on Mr. Jethro, the newest member of the team. Oh, I'm so happy. That's it, we can just end now, happy. I forgot what I was saying now, it completely put me off. I was saying that, yeah, insurmountable odds. You've got the changelings who were fairly unstoppable anyway, paired with the Borg, which, again, pretty much nearly unstoppable. Unless you're the Enterprise E or Janeway with a phaser rifle.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous alliance, that, isn't it?
And it's like, what are they going to do? How are they going to survive? And towards the end, who thought Picard was going to die? Honestly,
they look good.
You kind of think, nah, they can't do it. They're not going to do it, are they? But then right near the end there, I'm like, they're actually going to. I think I said it out loud. I think I was sat on my own watching it actually, and I was like, they're going to do it. They're actually going to kill him off, or make it seem like he's been killed off, because he stays behind. You have that and that wonderful sequence of Data flying the Enterprise D around the inside of the Borg cube, just like
I can do this.
Almost like doing handbrake turns and spinning it round and up.
Yeah.
And you got to see it do all kinds of stuff.
Very much like Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, the Enterprise D filming models were made by ILM when the original when the TNG came out, and they did a lot of the stock footages, and they did I think 12 camera shots of different passes of the Enterprise that they simply reused.
Oh, so they can composite like different planets and other ships.
Yeah.
Right.
So they did the simple one, the one like that, one like that going around and lots of passes and things as well.
Don't do the noises when you do that.
I was going to then. But then they also did several with different ships and stuff as the episodes came in. But because this was all CGI, they can have the ship doing anything. It can twizzle and turn and amazing, almost space ballet of Data chucking the Enterprise around that cube. But then they get in there, everyone else escapes at the last minute.
Why am I sensing enjoyment?
That's a quote from Picard, by the way.
When you kind of think it though, when he's doing that, aren't you? It's like, you thought we kicked your ass last time, you haven't seen nothing yet.
And then all of a sudden you've got Picard on his own, it's like he's staying behind to try and blow them up, basically. And it's like, it's that last sort of, it's almost that sort of, we need someone to keep their finger on the button till it goes moment. And it's like, he's going to actually do it. And this is going to be, because it's the Borg Queen versus Picard, and it's going to be that last sort of, well, you know what? This is me putting it to you. Screw you. Let's go. And at the last minute, he gets saved. And I know they kind of had to do that. And afterwards, I did say to you, Dave, I would not want to be the writer or director that actually kills off Picard.
No, he'd certainly get a few messages.
Or any of those characters. They're so beloved, you can't just kill them off.
Or John the Captain.
Yeah, I think the only way you could do it is have them write them out as naturally died. I don't think you could be the one that actually kills them off.
Well, like Spock in Star Trek Beyond. That was handled quite well.
Yeah.
I mean, we ought to talk a little bit about Series 1 and 2 a bit more as well. Obviously, like we said earlier, we had the return of John Delancey with Q, which was pretty good. I think it was a good choice of a character to bring back that kind of goes kind of both ways, kind of hero villain. You're never quite sure whether he's going to do something stupid and put people in danger and trouble, or whether he was going to do something amazing and save them or give them something.
It was a classic Q, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, it was, and I love it when Q can't do something he wants to do. And in this one, he's ill, dying. In fact, we find towards the end he's going to die. Now, which is weird because he's like, you get this idea that the Q are omnipotent and they just go on forever and don't die. Yet it would seem that they do, in fact. They don't really go into that much detail about this.
Well, they didn't in Voyager, because you had that arc of the other Q that were
they called him Quinn to distinguish it.
Yeah.
And he wanted to commit suicide, and they wouldn't let him because they said it would cause ripples throughout the continuum. but they obviously can kill themselves. But in this case, it was more he's just dying naturally and he's going to go. So he had enough life energy at the end to sort of one big hurrah and bring what's his name back. What's his name is a technical term for him. I can't remember his name.
What do you mean?
The Vulcan that works with them in series 2.
The
Romulan, sorry, that works with him in series 2.
he trained with the
he dies in this.
Yeah, what's his name?
I forgot. It's gone out of my head completely.
Mine too. Dave, what's his name?
I can't think of his name.
Oh,
We'll look at
him,
come
but
back
I
to you in a
can't think of
moment.
his name.
But so basically, he obviously is brought back, and he's called Elnor.
Elnor. That's it.
Yeah, I did just look it up. So he's brought back, and Q helps at the last minute, which I think is quite nice. Another lesson from Q.
Yeah. And of course, Q's got a son, so he could always pop up at some point in future Trek as well, couldn't he?
Yeah, and it was played by John Delancey's son.
Yeah.
Q's son was actually played by John, at least the boy, not the baby.
Yeah.
Which was good.
well, just like going back to earlier seasons, in season 1 you had Jerry Ryan come back as 7 of 9, so it just seems strange that the other legacy character wasn't a TNG character, it was a Voyager character. But again, it made so much sense because, like, especially during season 1, you had Picard being the X-Borg, you had 7 of 9 being the X-Borg.
It was all Borg related.
And with Picard, it was more just like
Hugh
he was
Borg.
Borg. Yeah.
Hugh Borg.
Yeah.
Played by Jonathan Del Arco.
Yeah.
But for 7 of 9, she had the most radical change, like from legacy appearance to modern appearance.
Yeah.
That her mannerisms and her way of speaking was more human. She also had like an alcohol problem, and even like her dress was different as well. Not in the catsuit, but in just like something a bit more comfortable.
She just became a lot more badass, essentially.
But also having more internal problems. Like she tried to join Starfleet.
More life experience.
Yeah. But she tried to join Starfleet at one point, but there been history with the Borg. There's a bit of like, no, we don't really want you in there. But
Plus, she had a lot of sort of knowledge inside her, didn't she? That she got through Unimatrix 1 during her time in the Borg that would kind of give her an advantage. If she was able to go against Starfleet, she'd have like some pertinent information.
Yeah.
I would have said not letting her in would put her more against Starfleet. But she ended up being a ranger, a bit of a bounty
Fenris
hunter,
ranger, yeah.
if you like.
Yeah, so that's sort of like an alternative. But obviously, Icheb as well, who also
Icheb.
appears,
Yeah.
had his eye.
Yeah, he
that was
died at the start, so she had to deal with that, like losing a character that was like almost like a son to her.
But like her character, I feel was, I feel her arc was someone who overcame prejudice, because at the start the Borg were very much seen as almost like an extension of like the synths, just like or anti-technology sentiments, which is again ironic being like the future and they pretty much rely on technology, and also people having these irrational fears of people that are just a bit different, which again I have no idea what that would be analogous to, you know. But yeah, you got a bit of that, and you find her sort of like finding herself as well more in season 2, a bit more at ease with herself, and then season 3 managing to get into Starfleet and, you know, overcoming
Having said
Shaw's antagonism.
the Federation are really good at saying, oh, actually, okay, we'll let you off then, being you just saved the entire universe. Yeah, go on then, come on, more.
That
more
gives us a little push if you do that.
Just give you a push. Yeah.
It's like the X-Borg were not really dealt with very nicely or fairly by the Federation. They were kind of like shut off in a Borg cube being experimented on, and you know things had not really caught up there. So as much as the Federation is seen as like a perfect vision of the future, there's still things that they've got to work on, things that are still not fair and not quite
If
right.
anything, Picard shows that the Federation's gone a little bit more backwards, I suppose, because it's made out to be this great organisation that's all inclusive, and yet as time's gone on, it seems like it's lost its way a little bit. And that's almost what this series is kind of trying to say. The Federation has lost their way a little bit, and it needs Picard and the TNG crew to come in and just put them right on the right path again.
It's still hopeful. Like,
Yes.
just because it deals with more like, because there's some like discontention within the fan base that it's a bit darker. But how do you show lightness without knowing what it's like to be in darkness?
Okay.
Well, you put them back on a ship with carpets.
Yeah, carpets
course.
help. Yeah, carpets always help.
Sorry, Dave Blast. Don't mention the carpets. It's time now, though, to go to our quiz feature. This is where myself and Mr. Dave are pitted head to head, where we answer questions on geeky things. Questions planned, of course, by our very own quizmaster, Mr. Jethro.
Ah, you got some nice buzzers now, haven't you?
Yes,
You have.
we've got some actual buzzers to press.
I know, we're going to bring them in a moment.
Yeah. So you've got your questions ready.
Yep. Are you ready?
I think we're ready. We're
Are you
going to
ready,
change
Dave?
it.
I'm ready.
We're going to change it this time slightly because last time when we started, we wanted to get to 10 questions. This time you're only asking 10. We only get one chance to answer the question. If you don't get it right, but you don't get the
Be
points.
more strict.
Yeah. So it's whoever gets the most questions right between us out of the 10 that were asked, and that's it.
Gentlemen, are we ready?
Yes.
I suppose so.
We think we are.
Okay. Question number 1. How many Star Trek episodes has Michael Dorn appeared in, not counting the films?
You nearly went for your buzzer then, didn't you? You saw my hand. Closest one gets it.
Go on then.
120.
You got 120?
I don't need to buzz for this, do I? 250.
It's 284.
20 odd episodes TNG 7 series, plus all
Yeah,
the DS9.
yeah,
I just went for
okay.
one fairly higher than you.
And Picard.
And Picard, of course.
well, yeah.
I won the point.
Okay, question 2. In Terminator 2, what year did Judgment Day occur? Go on then.
I'm just going to go in with a guess because I don't know, so I'll just say 2164.
Go on, Mr. Dave.
Let's give you a starting point.
1998.
1997.
Oh! Nearly.
Oh, very close, very close. Question number 3. What was the name of the cat in Alien? Is it A, Diego, B, Tibbs, C, Felix, or D, Jonesy?
I'm just going to guess Diego.
Felix.
No,
Oh!
it's Jonesy, so
Well, I
neither
just got
of
it
you
right.
get that.
Didn't ring a bell, that.
No, that's one of my weakness areas is the Alien franchise.
I've seen them, but I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
You're going to have to brush up your knowledge.
Yeah, I have to rewatch it.
Add it to the list. Question number 4. Who played Agent Smith in The Matrix?
Oh, come on, what's his name?
I'm passing. I honestly cannot. I don't know. I'm not going to get
I
it.
see him. I just can't think of what his name is.
I hate it when you've got one of those actors that's been in a lot of things and you just can't
Would you like a
remember it.
hint?
Ooh,
It's new.
that's new. Yes.
Okay.
Go on then.
He's also appeared in Lord of the Rings and V for Vendetta.
Actually, that's made it even worse now.
Yeah,
Because I know I can see him in
who
Lord
it
of the
is.
Rings now. You've said that, and I
Yeah.
still can't
Can't
remember his
of his
name. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm still going to have to do a hard pass on that.
No, I'm gonna have to pass.
Oh, okay. The answer is Hugo Weaving.
Been a lot.
I'm sure Jethro sets these questions just to torture us.
Alright, question number 5. What was the name of the artificial intelligence in 2001 A Space Odyssey? Go on then.
Hal. It's not Hal, is it? You want more?
I'll accept HAL as HAL 9000, but yeah, I'll give you the point anyway. What, were you going to say that?
I was going to say that. I was going to say the 9000 as well, but Mr.
Oh,
P was
okay.
there first.
HAL or HAL 9000 I'd accept. Question number 6. How many of the Indiana Jones films did Steven Spielberg direct? Go on then.
2.
That is incorrect.
I was going to say 3.
That is also incorrect.
It's going to be 1, isn't it?
It's 4.
Oh,
He directed them all except for Dial of Destiny, which was directed by, what's his name, James Mangold?
I didn't realise he did Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to just going to be the original 3.
Question number 7. In Star Trek, which was the first Earth ship to achieve Warp 5?
I'm going to have to say the Enterprise NX-01.
There you go.
I thought that was a trick question.
Yeah, that was in
and
my
I'm thinking,
mind.
hang on, was it the Enterprise? It's got to have been the Enterprise, but was there some kind of test thing where they tested the engine, or?
That's what I wondered.
No, it was NX-01.
Yeah, I just thought it'd give you an easy one.
We just think you're out to get us now. That's it. Every easy question we're going to think is like...
Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 8. I'm going to list 4 events, and I want you to tell me which one did not happen on the 22nd of November 1963. A. John F. Kennedy was assassinated. B. Doctor Who aired the first episode with An Unearthly Child. C. C.S. Lewis died. And D. The Beatles released their second album with the Beatles. Go on.
I'm going to go C.S. Lewis died.
That did indeed happen.
Oh!
I'd have said JFK.
It was the 22nd of November 1963, I'm afraid. The one that didn't happen was Doctor Who airing. That was on the 23rd of November.
We got the year right. I knew the year, and we knew it was it November,
It was
wasn't
November, yeah.
We've literally just done a video about Doctor Who, and so when we said the date, well, I don't remember the day, and I remember saying to you, no, we need to put the date down, the actual date.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. We said just November.
Yeah,
we said
November 63 is all we knew, wasn't it? Damn it.
Question number 9. Which Star Trek series has the most episodes?
Okay.
Go on then.
I'm going to go with Star Trek, Deep Space Nine.
Incorrect.
Ah!
I'm going to go the Next Generation.
Correct. Next Generation had 178 episodes. Deep Space Nine had 176.
Ooh,
Voyager had 172.
Voyager had a limited first series.
So did Deep Space Nine.
Did it? I was trying to work out whether it did or not, and off the top of my head, I should have got
I
that
must
one
admit,
right.
DS9 come into my head first, and then I went, no, I'm sure TNG
I was going to say
slightly more.
TNG, and I pressed the buzzer and I changed my mind. My own fault.
Oh well. Question number 10. In Star Trek, what date was First Contact?
I want to press that, but I'm frightened I'm going to get it wrong. Let's go for it. So the year was 2063. It was April 2063. And the actual date was... You want the actual date?
Yep.
After all that, he still wants the date. 5th, April 5th.
Yep.
Oh, well done. Yeah,
Correct.
I knew April 2063.
April 5th, 2063.
Full date.
For some reason, I got 16 popped into my head and it wouldn't go. And I'm like, I'm sure it's not 16, but then I started to doubt the 5th.
Well, with that, Mr. Dave has 2, Mr. P has 4.
Oh!
We got it this time.
Got it this time. Well, I actually won this week, Dave.
Yes, well done.
Not by a lot of points, I have to say. We need to brush up on our geeky knowledge a bit.
Yes, we do need to be reading up a little bit.
Mr. Jethro really is putting us through our paces on those quizzes. But now keep up the good work and we'll brush up.
Yes, we'll start reading.
Let's just summarise this up then. So, I think that they did a fantastic job with Picard. I think that journey you went on was good. Series 3 obviously smashes it out the park. It's making me want to rewatch it now, actually. And
Should we do that now?
yeah, we'll be right back in 30 hours. No,
And of course, we had well, to mention as well, we had the return of Will Wheaton.
it made a brief cameo
cameo.
in Series 2 as the Traveller, and it was lovely that he got to do that because he did film a sequence at the wedding for Nemesis, but it got cut in the end, which was a shame because it's only a couple of minutes. I could have left it in really, but hey-ho.
And of course, Guinan, had the return of Guinan as well.
Yeah, young Guinan.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely brilliant on young Guinan.
Oh, there's so much to see. I bet I know after we start recording, we're going to think, oh, we should have mentioned this, we should have mentioned that.
There's so much we can talk about, and we can go back and revisit this later after we've done a full rewatch, because there's loads more to say. It is, however, that time to come back to our feature.
Oh.
So, Geeky Guy's favourites. The question I posed to you gentlemen at the beginning was your favourite in any TV or film, even sort of a famous cameo, if you like, that popped up and said hello, and you went, "Oh, that's amazing that they did that." Mr. Jethro, have you got an answer?
Yes.
Mr. Dave, have you got an answer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go to Mr. Jethro first.
Right. Better Call Saul.
Ah, of course it was.
Yeah, just with the appearances of Walter White and Jesse Pinkman near the end. Perfect. It wasn't just blatant fan service. Obviously, that's going to be fan service, but it wasn't just fan service. It worked into the story, and it just loved it. I'm not going to say any more to it because you two haven't seen it.
Mr. Dave.
Yeah, so for me, just a quick one off the top of my head, because obviously there is absolutely loads. There's lots of really good ones, little quick cameos, and obviously longer ones as well. But I think Robert Picardo in The Orville, because there was kind of talk of will they have any Star Trek cameos, and we wasn't sure, and was said, it'd be a good thing to do, I wouldn't be surprised. And then he kind of popped up in that episode as the security officer's father on Solea.
Yeah,
that was good.
That's a good one. And there are little ones like that with Star Trek characters, such as Rene Auberjonois, who played Odo, popping up in Enterprise, and so on. They did that a lot. Mine is Christopher Reeve in Smallville. So Smallville's got Tom Welling playing Clark Kent as he's growing to be Superman, and as he's learning more about who he is, and he's got some Kryptonian crystal, and it's Christopher Reeve's character who comes in as a guy called Dr. Swan, who can read Kryptonian. And he essentially tells Clark he is Kal-El from Krypton, which I thought was really nice of him to do. We had Margot Kidder in there as well, but Chris Reeve in Smallville was one of my favourite cameos. So there we go. That's fantastic. So that was Picard Series 3. And Picard as a whole, as a TV series, he has said he'd be interested in doing a feature film to sort of wrap up the storyline of Picard. That does make me slightly nervous that they are going to kill him off if they do that.
Yeah, they got another chance to do it, haven't they?
We'll see what happens.
And of course, Star Trek Legacy. With,
Did you sign a petition?
I did sign the petition.
Thank you. Yeah. Did you sign the petition? Yes. Good.
So we need. There is a petition. We need to get Star Trek Legacy up and running with Jerry Ryan and the new Enterprise. And on that note, just before we finish, the last thing, finally, talking of cameos, John Delancey as Q, who pops up right at the end of Picard Series 3, on almost a post-credit sequence, including with Jack Crusher and Q as John Delancey, even though he's supposed to have died, kind of says, "Oh, hang on a minute, the story's not over yet."
Yeah, humans always think so linear.
No!
If that's not spin-off baiting, I don't know what is.
Oh well, and on that, we're all off to watch Star Trek Picard Series 1 to 3. We'll see you in a couple of weeks with our next episode. It'll probably take us that long to actually watch all of Picard, actually.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
I've booked the time off.
Keep the eye out on our socials for all the promos and updated information with what's coming out.
Absolutely. Dave, do you want to tell everyone what we're doing next in 2 weeks' time?
I can do that. So in 2 weeks' time, we are going to be talking to Michael Charles Hill, who is a producer and writer at Sunbound Entertainment animation company, mid-80s to mid-90s, working on shows such as Transformers, G.I. Joe, a lot of the animated stuff around that time, so we're looking forward to talking to him.
That's all to come later on. But for now, thank you so much for watching. From Mr. Dave, Mr. Jethro and myself, don't forget to check our socials or geekyguys.co.uk. Don't forget to like and subscribe, of course, here on YouTube. And, we'll see you for that interview in 2 weeks' time.
We will.